Hi everyone, I'm Michael. I thought I'd do a video today on Kerbal and let's see how things go. So I've been playing Kerbal for years, it's one of my favourite games. I thought we'll start a new one and just play around and see what happens. So let's call this one Mike's World and let's have some fun. So let's have a look, see what we've got. So let's just run it on normal and see what we can do. I've done a lot on Kerbal. I love space. Space is amazing. I've followed so many different launches about all the things we've done in history of space, and my favourite story is obviously the Voyager one, which is still going into deep space, and it's going into parts where we've never been. So the whole side of that is just unbelievable that we've made a shuttle a satellite so long ago that we've managed to launch it, keep it up there and keep it running for around about, what, 30 years now, and it's still going. And I just think that's great, and I hope that we can do more missions like that, and maybe one day get to Mars, and well, that would be something which will be a greatest accomplishment in history. So yeah, space. So yeah, so if you haven't played Kerbal before, what you've got to do is you build a shuttle or your rocket, and you've got to get it into orbit. You can go to other planets, you can explore, and you can just play around with it. So we'll start simply first of all, and then let's just launch something and see what we can do. So I've got a lot of mods on here. I run a lot of different ones just due to the fact that it makes the game more interesting. You've got all different stuff, so more utilities, so more batteries, supplies that you need when you're piloting into the moon or going into orbit, keeping it up there for long periods of time, especially when you build a space station, because the biggest issue with doing that is having the parts to do experiments whilst you're up there, and docking and refueling. So there's a lot of different things that you need when you're building something like that, but we'll just start off by launching a basic rocket into space and then bringing it down on a parachute and seeing what happens. I've played it for a long time. I'm probably not that good at it, but let's have a look to see what we can do. So let's find just a normal stock fuel tank. That's a little bit too small. There we go. So we've got our stock fuel tank. Let's put some boosters on it. Yeah, again, too small, too big. Let's try one of these. Still too small. There you go, perfect size. So we've got a rocket, so we want to bring it back down as we're going to send up a Kerbal in it. So let's have a look, see if we can find parachutes, if I can remember where they are. Somewhere in utility, yeah, no, maybe. Let's have a look. So there we go, a couple of these. A little bit too small, them ones. Let's try these ones, yep. So 3 on there. Let's put another 3 up here. So you have different options. You have sandbox, which I'm doing at the moment, which allows you to just mess around, launch anything you want to launch, have all the parts. You got your career one, which is more difficult because you have a budget, you have to follow missions, and you have to actually be able to move forward and progress into it. I've done my own career. I've got very far with it, landed on different planets, blew up a lot of ships, messed up a lot, but that's the whole point of it. It's playing around. The physics of the game is as close as you can get to actual space flight, which makes it so difficult. There are like mods on here to give you autopilot and other abilities, so you don't have to mess around trying to do it yourself, but I find that ruins the game slightly. So it's more fun playing it in the sense of which you're doing all the work yourself. So we're ready, everything's on. We've got Jebediah, we've got Bill. Bill's not going to be much use, he's an engineer going on the shuttle, just going up there, but we'll see what happens. Parachutes are set on the second last stage, so we can actually launch without them going off at the same time, because I've done that a few times as well. And let's give it a go, let's see what happens. Okay, so we got SAS on, so that keeps it stable. Jeopardize is doing all the work. We got RC on. We don't need that on because we haven't got any RC fuel or any little boosters to do that. But we're launching. We're going a bit too quick, but everything's going all right. So it's stable. And let's adjust it a bit. So we are pushing up to 15 Gs. And there we go, a little bit too quick. So let's revert that to vehicle assembly. So now what our issue with that one was, we had a bit of overheating due to the fact that I didn't think about that and didn't put nothing on the front of it. So we have thermal area here, which we just stick a little cone, a little shield on the front, give us a little bit of protection. There we go, that should help a little bit. Let's put some paneling around it. So these panels take away the heat impact as such and should stop us from blowing up this time. So let's try that again. So yeah, it's all about experimenting on this game. You'll find when you first start out everything blows up. Normally all your Kerbals die. Jebediah is my main one. I've kept him going from the beginning to the end. Everyone loves Jebediah. So let's try it again. So always make sure you do staging because I always forget. Launch. So let's see how high we get this time. So in the actual career mode you can click on these and do a crew report, which gives you science. Science is basically used to allow you to get more parts for when you're moving forward. And I'm not concentrating, so there we go. So we've crashed, well we're spinning, so give it a minute. I can't stable that out. Okay, so we should stable out a little bit now. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't concentrate. We can get it going again. There we go. So we're not going to get that high because I've ruined everything. And deploy the parachutes a bit too early. But yeah, so see the physics, if you're not concentrating, you're not keeping it straight and the ship isn't balanced, it will go off course. But now let's go forward and get this to land. So this will come down, should be okay. Yeah, parachutes deployed, and we'll come down to Earth nice and safely. So yeah, that was first launch. That one was a little bit better. At least we got up there and got back down again without blowing up. So nearly back on Earth. There we go, upright and landed. So now you can revert back to your vehicle assembly. We'll now try something a little bit more, give us a bit more power and a bit more stability and actually get up into space. Not always the easiest thing to do, but we'll give it a go. So let's get rid of all that and let's try something different. So the best pod to probably start off with is just this standard little pod. It's not very big and it hasn't got much to it, but it can carry one person, and at this stage all you need to do is get out of the atmosphere, so having one person aboard is all you're going to need. Let's put a couple more boosters on this one. So we're going to bring this back into atmosphere, so we want to have some decouplers so that the pod will come back through on its own, which makes bringing it down a lot easier than if it was makes it a lot easier if it was a whole ship, because boosters don't really survive the impact of coming back into re-entry, so you don't really want to have them coming down back with you. So this engine's quite a powerful one, so we'll stick that on there. We probably want some RC fuel on this one to keep the stability on it. So let's look for a RC. Let's look for one of the pods. There should be one on here somewhere. I have a lot of mods, so finding things are not the easiest. So we have little ones, but we want one of these type. These basically gives you the fuel, enough fuel to keep your ship stable. So let's put some. So we have got the RCS thrusters, so we only want little one, like a lunar landing ones, because if we put like 6 of them around the base of it, it will just keep us from tipping whilst going up. So we don't want anything major on there, so that will do. So now we want to put a heat shield also on the bottom this time, because we'll be coming back into the atmosphere, and we need that to keep us from overheating when we're coming back down. So we also have different parachutes we're going to put on this time. We want more of a nose cone shaped one, so we have this one, which should be big enough. There we go. So we also now want to put some side boosters on. So we need some clamping on the side of it. I find these are normally better because they give you a little bit of a gap away from your shuttles, stops the overheating so much. But now we're just looking at normal stock boosters. So we have the big ones which are like over powerful, so I don't know if these have a lot of thrust, so it's probably too powerful for what we're going to do. So let's try a couple of these on here, and we'll put some nose cones on and a couple fins, and just give us a little bit more aerodynamic for when we're going up. So you have a lot of different nose cones. So for this sort of one, you just want your standard size ones, which we just put on top, gives us a little bit more aerodynamic use. So we've got some like winglets and some fins. Most of these are normally for space planes, but you have all different types, so we just want a couple of stock standard ones. So they're a little bit too big. Let's see what else we got. There we go. Nice simple. Couple of these going up here. Just give us a little bit more aerodynamic boost on it. So there we go. So we want boosters and that to fire at first, then they will decouple. We want that to decouple once we are at a stable height, but I've put that in the wrong place. There we go, that's a bit better. So yeah, so we will be ready for launch. Let's give this the proper style of launch and have a support on it. So because I got the mod on it, I get different type of supports. These are non-stock, but they work a little better for my likings. And let's bring that down a bit, we don't need it that far up in the air. And there we go, we are ready for a launch, and let's see if we can get to orbit. If we can't get to orbit, we'll just come back down and land and see how much more boost we need, and what more, if we need more power, and what else we need to get up there a bit more. So let's try this one and see what happens. So on this one we've got, oh okay, this pod was a bit bigger than I thought, so we've got 3 on board. So we've got engineers, scientists this time, so you want to, with your scientists, you get them up to your space station. They will do all the research that you need. They will basically do everything you need. They can sit in like labs up there and process the data up there, so when you send it back later on, you get a lot more science out of it. The issue with that side of things is it's not till later on that they come in very useful, as they are good, but they're not always the greatest early on. So just doing simple missions like getting up into space will give you enough science to move forward when you're doing it on the career mode. So let's launch this one and let's see what happens. So there we go. We are launching. This one is a lot more powerful and it has longer fuel on it this time. So the boosters obviously will burn down quicker. So once the boosters are used, I can then press them so they detach from the shuttle, and the shuttle then turns into just the main part. And that allows you to then manoeuvre up in space a lot easier. So we are breaking through the low atmosphere and we are now pushing through into the higher atmosphere. We are going quite quick, but see, the boosters are done, so now we just press that. They're off. They do blow up because they do come off at a quite high speed. There is a way to reuse them on here, because later on you need to save parts, but when you're reusing them later on, you just want to put parachutes on them, and you can actually have remote settings if you get the right mod to allow them to land. So we are officially in space and we're still going at some speed. I'm not going to put in orbit, could do it, but what we want to do is we want to have a look into the re-entry procedure. So you see the RCS thrusters are working as they should do. They're keeping us stable, so when we move, gives us a bit more flexibility on moving. But you see how much fuel you're going to need and how much it uses to just get to this sort of height. When you're pushing to other planets, you need a station somewhere to refuel, to give you some extra fuel to get further out, and it's a process which takes a lot of time, but once you get the hang of it, it works a lot better for you and you'll be able to reach different planets. So see on here you've got Mun, which is basically the moon. You go out to this one, it's literally a second moon of Earth, which we don't have, but on this game they have put it on there. So Duna is basically a equivalent to Mars. Then you go out to Dres, which is pretty much another rock planet. It's not anything major, but you can go land on that one. Then you got Joel, which is a gas planet, which is very much like Saturn. And then you go further out, which is you're getting to your Pluto territory. How far that would be. Another gas sort of planet, which is Eve, which is like Venus. And then when you go further in, you've got basically the equivalent of Mercury in there, which is, in my opinion, the most difficult to land on because it's so far out and it's so close to the sun that if you mess up slightly, you end up getting too hot because the sun's so close. You also have unknown objects. These are normally meteorites or small planets which you can go land on and do experiments and gain materials from it. So from what we can see, the green line is basically your signal with Earth. The further you go out, the more satellites you need to bounce your signal back. So we are coming up around now. Soon enough we're going to be being pulled back towards Earth. As you get further out, your speed's slowing down because you're being pulled in. Now we're being pulled in, it's going to go speeding up. The issue is I don't think we're going to get back through that easily as we have gained a lot of speed. And I'm not too sure if the shuttle itself or the part that we have up here, the pod, is gonna be able to survive the incoming. The parachute might heat up, we might come in too quick, but we'll see. We're coming in now. We are getting close to the atmosphere. Soon enough as we hit it, we will turn into basically a fireball falling down, and the booster will just disintegrate. It won't survive the re-entry, but we have got our heat shield on, which means we have some protection. So we're now breaking the atmosphere now. As soon as you hit it, we are going to get on fire. So it's realistic to what actually happens when we're going through, when we're travelling through space, and after we come out of orbit. This is the same sort of process which will happen. You can see that the booster's going off in the background. That's gone now. So we are coming in very quick. I can't deploy a parachute until we slow down a bit more. So we are now in low atmosphere, and we have slowed down just enough for me to be able to deploy the parachute. So worked out a bit better than I believed it was going to. So the parachute's deployed. That has slowed us down to enough, so should land safely. And we have been into space and we're back down again. So that worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. So we are now coming down. I think we're going a little bit too fast. Maybe it's because it's a bit too heavy. There we go. So we need more parachutes on re-entry, but we did manage to get back down. Okay, we blew up. That's normally the case, but at least we done it. So yeah, that's Kerbal. That's the first episode I've done on this sort of thing, doing a playthrough and just playing around with the game. So I hope you enjoy it, and what I will do is the second one right after this one and have a look into getting a little bit further out and seeing where we go. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.